Hello, and welcome to News You Can Use. I'm your host, Patty Nash. Today we are going to talk about the Red Clay Parent University. In its third year, the Parent University is designed to increase parental involvement in schools and empower you to raise children who are successful in school and life. Our strategic plan goals that impact the achievement gap, literacy growth, and college and career readiness are emphasized. The Parent University model is used in districts around the country and has been very successful. It includes a series of informational seminars for parents. We're very happy today to have with us the two presenters from this year's Red Clay Parent University, Dr. Stephen Jones and Daryl Coach D. Andrews. First, we will meet Dr. Stephen Jones. Dr. Jones is an outstanding educator who has spent his career helping students to succeed in K-12 schools and college. He has been instrumental in helping thousands of students realize their dream to earn a degree. He has authored the 7 Secrets of How to Study series, including Mapping Your Strategy for Better Grades, Parents' Ultimate Education Guide, and the Ultimate Scholarship Guide. The books provide an understanding of the 7 pillars that are essential to learning effective study techniques. Dr. Jones is the president of SAG Publishing and is a distinguished Toastmaster. He is an in-demand speaker who has regular appearances on Blog Talk Radio. He also serves as an Associate Dean of Student and Strategic Programs in the College of Engineering at Villanova University. Previously, he served as the director of Success Act 101 program at Drexel University. He has received recognition for his dedication to students, including the National Society of Black Engineers Award and Drexel University's named Dr. Stephen Jones an award for academic excellence. It was presented annually to an undergraduate student exhibiting outstanding achievement. Dr. Jones is a Philadelphia Public School graduate. He holds PhD and BS degrees from Widener University, a Master of Education from Howard University, and a Master of Business Administration from Philadelphia University. Welcome to the program, Dr. Jones.
Well, I'm so happy to be here, Ms.
Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
We heard a bit about your impressive background. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself,
Okay.
and specifically, you've provided consulting and leadership talks to schools. What motivates you to do this work?
Okay. So I was one of 6 children to go to college, one of the 6 children in my family to go to college. And so I think out of that passion of knowing that there are many, many families that are about to send their first child to college, I desired to do something that would help them to be successful. And I actually ran a program in the state of Pennsylvania. It's called Act 101 to help low-income students to come into the college environment and to be successful. We used to do a lot of workshops with them and seminars. And I said, what can I do beyond what happens in the school to help? And so that's when I began to reach out to the community, work with schools, and then I decided to start writing these books to help the students and the parents to be successful. So it's really a passion, and I really want to reduce the dropout rate. I want more students to stay in school and to graduate.
Now, is there a barrier or a myth that some of our young people have in this country that they can't go to college, and maybe their parents too? We can't afford it. My child doesn't have, he's not an honor roll student. So there's these barriers within folks to going to school.
That's a wonderful question. I always say there's 6,000 colleges for students to attend. So that says that there are community colleges, there are 4-year schools, there's even online schools now that families can send their children to. So there's many different ways at many different levels that a child can get entry. And then the cost, of course, that's what parents are looking at, the cost.
Sure.
Institutions look at your family income and then determine, based on that, how much they will give to you. So I always say to students, apply to at least 5 colleges. That way you have some options, and you can look at the different financial support that you're getting and then decide which one fits you.
Okay. And how long have you been doing this work?
So I've been working in higher ed for at least 35 years.
Okay.
Yes. So
that's a long time.
that's a long time, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it easier to get into college today? Has it gotten more difficult, more costly, more difficult to get in? What have you seen?
I think it's more challenging depending on which colleges that you're applying to.
Okay.
All right. So of course there's the cost range. So a lot of the colleges cost anywhere between $25 and some $60,000 and $65,000 a year.
Numbers, yeah.
So a lot of parents get discouraged, even in the middle school, where they start talking to their children. Well, we'll never have enough money for you to go to college, so think of something else. Mm-hmm. And what I'm always saying to them, the doors are open. It's just a matter of you getting the preparation. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the reasons why I'm doing the seminars, because I want to ensure that the parents are getting the preparation and that they know that there's money for them to go to college.
Okay. And you've started doing some work in Red Clay School District.
Yes.
You've come here to us, we're happy to say.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about what you're doing with Red Clay. What's your partnership like?
So the partnership is one in which I'm actively involved. Mm-hmm. And we're doing a series of seminars throughout the year mm-hmm. to address issues related to college success. And even if you want to go to a trade school, the kinds of tips and strategies that will help you to be successful in that. Because I recognize that not every child is going to go to college, mm-hmm. but wherever they go, if they want to be an auto mechanic, if they want to be a plumber, mm-hmm. If they want to be an electrician, they still have to learn. Mm-hmm. And so I want to give them strategies that will help them to be successful, so that we don't have students going to school and saying to themselves, well, I tried it and I couldn't do it. A lot of times it's how much you're equipped to do that work. And so I want to be right there. We're doing the seminars on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and some Saturdays. Okay. And there's a schedule that we have for that.
We'll be running the schedule later for folks to see. Yeah.
And what we want is everyone to come out with their questions. Right. And even in the midst of doing the seminar, if the parents or students have questions, I will stop and make sure that I'm answering the questions that are important to them. Okay. So it's all about their investing the time, and I'm going to make it worth their while when they come.
And are the seminars geared to a certain age? Like if my child is middle school, high school, I mean, how does that work?
So since it's Parent University, the first thing I'm doing is working to make sure I'm getting the parents the information, but all of them bring their children. So no matter which age they bring, I'm going to encourage them and encourage their children. And I'll find some way to have them interact with each other, and maybe some different ways that they might not be interacting with their child right now. So it's just to kind of model to them what they can do and what they can say. And I always say to parents, your words are really powerful with children. You know, the more positive words, the more affirmations you can say to them, the more you tell them that you expect to do well, you're going to get that type of outcome.
So do you believe in it's almost cliche that children rise or sink to the expectations of the adults in their life?
Exactly. So that's so important that they hear words from their teachers every day, but then they come home and they also hear from their parents. And so it is really, there's a correlation between what the parents' education and possibilities. The more knowledge that they get, the more that they can share with their children. Okay. And then I also say to them, when your children come home, ask open-ended questions. You know, not just what did you like today, what did you do today, so they can actually express to the parent what they're doing.
I'm guilty of that. I'll ask, how was school? And then fine.
They'll say yes or no, right? Yeah,
yeah, that's it.
So if you ask a more open-ended question, what did you do or how did you do it?
Right.
Then you're getting the child to actually explain to you if they're working on a science experiment or if they're learning math, and they actually show you. That usually gets the child excited that they can teach their adult parent something new.
And children really respond to the interest level of the adults in their lives. Right. So if they see the adults to go to the seminars, taking that initiative in their future, that's important.
That is very important. And I'll use my daughter and son as an example. Even when they were in elementary school and they went to middle school and then they got to high school, they're much bigger. And a lot of parents think that they don't really need to encourage their high school students as much as they were encouraging them when they were really small. Right. When my daughter came home from high school, and they showed me their grades, I was so excited. You would have think that it was their birthday or some big celebration.
Everything rolled into one.
Yeah. So, and even in college, my daughter, my son have still looked for me to say, oh, that's a great job. So it really does pay to invest yourself in that way.
Okay. And these are no-cost ways that you
Yes,
can invest in your
exactly.
child's future. Now, I understand that parents who come to the seminars have takeaways, have some of the books that you've
Yes,
written.
absolutely.
We can show you. There's 7 secrets of how to study.
This is for the parent.
This is for the parent
Yes.
on how they can just monitor their children doing homework. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I don't understand some of the material that my children are doing for homework. How do
Right.
you monitor a child when you don't understand the content?
Right. So that's when it's really important for the parent and the teacher and the school to have a relationship so that there may be times, maybe either online or by stopping by, they can show you some tips and strategies that might help you to work with them.
Okay.
One of the things that I talk about in this book is how to help your child study smart. So it gives the parents some tips on studying for their child.
Okay.
And every chapter has different strategies from other parents who did well with their children.
Okay.
So just to give you practical advice from their perspective. And it's easy to read. It's not, you can see it's not really thick.
Education ease? No.
Yes. No,
Okay.
it's practical things that they can apply every day and improve their child's performance. And it talks about how to help your child transition from elementary school to middle school to high school, and high school to college. What are the things that you're supposed to do? And then in the back of the book, I have a lot of resources, websites. What should you be doing in a 9th, 10th, and 11th grade to help your child get ready for college or a trade school?
Okay, very good. And then you also have 7 secrets of how to study, the ultimate scholarship guide.
Now, how many of you out there need money for college? So,
Hello.
so this talks about how there's over $90 billion in scholarships, and half of it goes back every year.
Wow.
And so we need parents and children, young people, to apply for the scholarships. They're there, they're available. You just have to have a weekly schedule where you're actually setting aside time to go after these scholarships. And I have over 100 scholarship websites in the back of that book.
Okay.
It talks about how to find money, how to interview for scholarships, what corporations are offering for scholarships. So it's a real practical guide.
Excellent. And I think that's part of that whole yes you can movement about yes you can go to college.
Yes.
That here's ways that you can maybe afford it. And then the third book that parents will be looking to get is 7 Secrets on How to Study, Mapping Your Strategy for Better Grades.
Right. So
Is that for parents as well?
Oh, yes. It's interesting that this is targeted to middle school and high school students, first-year college students as well. But a lot of times, adult learners who are going back to college or going back to some school will purchase this book. So it's a great book that's a resource for the parent as well to just think about how they study. It gives strategies on how to take a test, when to prepare for a test. Every chapter has a college student that shares what they did to earn A's in the book.
Okay.
So they actually give them practical guides, and there's a small box of different types of tips that they can use throughout.
And what about the parent who's working 2 jobs, has a household, 2 jobs, is thinking, I don't have time I have the interest, but I don't have the time to do this. What kind of time are you talking for parents to invest?
So with the reading of this, like I said, is very simple.
Okay.
So you can get through this book within a couple of weeks.
Okay.
Just take chapter by chapter. Another thing is that I do have on YouTube about 60 videos.
Okay.
And it goes over some of the same material on the videos. So
we are a visual nation.
Yes. So none of the videos are more than 2 minutes long.
Okay.
So it can give you valuable information, and then you go back into the book and read things that I've said in the video.
Okay.
So a different strategy to get to the students.
And what kind of responses have you gotten from parents to your seminars?
I need more parents to come out to the seminars. It varies in size. I would say on average somewhere around 8 to 10, but I'd love to have 20 or 30 parents coming up, because what I want to do is impact their entire family.
Okay.
Even if the children can't come, if the parents coming, then I can give them something that they can share with their children.
Okay, and we'll put the schedule up a little later in the show. We'll also have it on our website. We also remind folks through a phone call that it's coming up because Red Clay feels that it's an important opportunity. It's free.
It's free.
Free of charge.
Absolutely.
Is registration required for any of these?
You can. There is a number that you can call in Red Clay.
Right.
But if you just want to show up, just show up.
Okay.
And what we're doing is we have a sign-in list of those who've come.
Okay.
But we've never been in a position where we don't have enough room for the parents to come.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you would say to parents, what are the most important things that you can do to raise a successful child? Maybe give us one or two of the most important in your mind.
So the first thing is reading.
Okay.
And that the earlier that you can start your child reading, the better. When my son and daughter were in my wife's womb, we were speaking and reading to them that early. And so when they came here, it wasn't uncommon for them. So I know it may sound silly to some people,
no,
but
it doesn't. It doesn't.
Yeah, but
They
it's
hear.
great. It's great.
Yeah.
They hear. So you're trying to have them ingested. They're like sponges, and so the more that you give them, the more they can pick up. And then the reason why I say reading is so important, it influences math. It influences biology and chemistry and history. So the better the reading skills. Second point, and just still adds to reading, is that when a child reads at least 2 to 3 hours every day, it increases their grades. So if you want your child to earn A's and B's, then they should be reading throughout the day.
Well, I was a big reader when I was a kid.
Right. Yes.
You know, like mostly not textbooks, but any kind of reading is good for the children.
Yeah, you can have a series of books. There's
There's a lot of the adult children's series out now. And,
yes.
Are there any final words of advice you would have for people in the district on how they can help their children reach academic goals?
Okay. So it goes back to what you were saying earlier. We're really busy as parents today, but the most precious gift that you've been given is your child. So I would say make sure that on Saturday or Sunday, you look at your schedule and then figure out where the best times are for you to engage with your child. So there's actually a roadmap rather than just randomly finding time for them. You actually have a schedule that you follow. And that may change from week to week, but if you're doing that every weekend, you can see what's going on, what's needed. When the children have projects, you won't be running out during the middle of the week to get the things that they need because you've already planned it. So I think that is critical as a family, time management and communication.
Okay. And what about the parent out there who, let's say their child is 12 or 13 and they're like, well, I didn't read to my child, you know, in the womb, and I didn't do these things.
Right.
Is it too late for them?
No, I say with them, try to find books that they're interested in.
Okay.
So it may be how-to books. It may be something that they specifically love to do. Find books that are in the areas of interest, and that's still good as well, because the young people are more likely to read those at that age than they are something that you're assigning to them.
My son was not a good reader, and I'm sorry that I'm giving that information about you, Reed, but he definitely was not up to grade level as a younger student, a much younger student, and we just put some books in the back seat of the car when he was riding around. He just picked them up and read them himself, and that's how he got to learn to be. They were cartoons, something that he would like to look at, and he picked them up.
Yeah, you were getting it in, and that I always say, wherever your child goes, have a book in their book bag. Because invariably they're going to say they're bored, and you can say, pull out your book, read your book.
That's right.
And you can get them engrossed in the whole idea of reading that, and if there's a series and they want to get the next book. And what we did was our daughter and son really read a lot, and so we would find other people whose families were doing the same thing and exchange books.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And it saved a lot of money.
Books can be expensive.
Yes, it saved a lot of money, and it also got them thinking about what other families are reading.
And these seminars usually run an hour and a half, or how long do they run?
So usually during the week, on a Tuesday or Thursday, they're an hour and a half. So it's usually from 6 to 7:30.
Okay.
And then on Saturdays, they're usually from 10 to 12.
Okay.
Or,
So we would encourage anyone watching, our parents, to please come out to the parent universities. It is an investment in your children, and it is time, we believe, very well spent. So unless you had something final to add, Dr. Jones, I think that
Okay.
we've let people know what an opportunity this is.
Yes, thank you so much.
You're more than welcome.
Again, I say to the parents, come out, learn something new. Many of you have students who are in the 12th grade, and you're really concerned about finding money or deciding on which colleges to go to. I'm going to be talking about that in some of the seminars.
Excellent. Okay. Thank you very much, and please stay with us because when we come back, we'll be talking with Daryl, Coach D. Anderson. Thank you very much.
And then from this angle, it all makes a star.
I'm a teacher. Let me tell you what I make. I make learning a privilege, not a chore.
Show up
And frustration,
absorb
a
what people
tool,
are giving you.
not an obstacle.
It's a
I make working hard seem easy and giving up impossible.
And then we're going to turn the lights and everybody look up.
I make an old subject feel like a fresh thought.
Find me one.
What's your reaction gonna be? Yeah, exactly.
And unconventional methods
Okay, what else?
common.
Little tadpoles, the frogs, the spiders, this is their world.
There's nothing.
And then they die. Go ahead, go, go, go.
I'm a teacher. I make more.
Hello and welcome back to News You Can Use. Today we're talking about the Parent University in Red Clay and what an opportunity this is for parents to come out and in an hour and a half or 2 hours learn some real tips about how you can help your kids succeed. I'm joined now by Daryl, Coach D, you may have heard of him, Andrews, who is an internationally recognized motivational speaker, an educational consultant and author. His books, Believing the Hype, 7 Ways to Motivate Students of Color, The Purpose Living Teen, a teen guides to living your dreams, and The Parent as Coach, developing a family dream team and how to find your passion and make it a living. Coach D has helped to transform thousands of students, educators, and parents and school leaders worldwide. His story, 5 Garbage Bags and a Dream, is one of the top stories in the national bestseller, Chicken Soup for the African American Soul. As a speaker and trainer, he has been invited to speak at some of the nation's top educational institutions and nonprofit associations. He has shared the stage with some of the foremost thought leaders in the world, such as the National PTA, the National Association of Secondary School Principals, the Association for Supervision and Curriculum Development, Nycu, Gear Up, and many more have invited him to be a keynote speaker at their national conferences. He's presented speaking and training programs to thousands of school districts, college campuses, and workforce development agencies throughout the United States, Canada, and the Caribbean. He's been a regular guest on many radio and television programs. He's been on MSNBC, Fox News, the Black Enterprise Report, the Tavis Smiley Show, and Comcast Cablevision's Your Morning Talk Show, just to name a few. His life philosophy has been the same for close to 2 decades. It's not what you have accomplished in your life that counts, but what others are able to accomplish because of you. Thank you very much, Coach D, and welcome to the program.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Okay.
Pleasure to be here.
And you have been providing these consulting services for a long time.
Yes.
What motivates you? What motivated you to get into this line of work?
Yes, I've been doing this 2 decades, a long time. And you know, Patty, there's a couple of reasons why I decided to go this direction, this pathway. I used to work in corporate America. I worked for a Fortune 500 company by the name of Abbott Laboratories. And a couple things happened during that time. One, I was watching a show on 60 Minutes that talked about the state of our youth in this country, in particular young men of color. And there was this researcher who had done some research and basically in his research came to the conclusion that there was no hope for this generation. And that we should just focus on early childhood education and really not put much emphasis on this group of young people, basically write them
Just
off.
let this
Let it
generation
go.
slide
Let it
and
slide
work
away.
on the next one.
And work on the next one.
Oh,
and
that's awful.
that grabbed my heart. And that brings me to the second reason, because I look at some of these young people and I said, that was me many years ago. And what if someone would have given up on me? Would I have been a college graduate? Would I have worked in corporate America? Would I have, married the bride of my dreams and have the family that I have? I said, no, it's because of caring educators, caring parents, caring community leaders that I was the man I was at that time. And I said, you know what, I can't sit by and watch anymore. I committed my life to impacting school systems, students, educators, any stakeholder that impacts students, because I said, I just can't embrace and accept that what I heard.
Yes.
There's hope for our young people.
Yes, and as a school district,
Yeah.
we would obviously never
Yes.
never give up
Absolutely.
on a generation.
Absolutely.
You have these two core philosophies that you believe that
Yes.
schools can adopt to engage even the most challenging students.
Yes.
Can you tell us what they are and why they're important?
Yes, the two core philosophies that I developed really are stem from a program I created years ago by the name of HYPE, which is an acronym for Helping Youth Pursue Excellence. And I want to mention that because HYPE was a Workforce Investment Act contracted program, but we partnered with schools and school districts. And the students that were in our program, we had somewhere around 300 to 400 students. We ended up with a 96% high school graduation rate with students that were not supposed to graduate, according to the statistics, right? But a big part of it is the mindset that my staff and I embrace, but also our community supporters. And in my case, the community supporters were the community itself, my partnership with schools. We all embraced this. There were two core philosophies. Number one is kids are not committed to programs, kids are committed to people. It's the relationship with young people that causes them to want to excel in school, go to college, make good life choices. It's the relationships. It really is.
And you touched on that. I mean,
Yeah.
kids need an important adult to have high expectations of them.
Unquestionably.
Right.
You can ask, and I've done this with my audiences. Like, let's say I'm doing a professional development with a bunch of teachers. I'll say, how many of you are here because of a teacher that impacted your life? 90% of the hands go up.
Right.
Because it's that caring adult that caused them to think of that dream of being an educator. And then you can do that in just about any knowledge. You'll see that same type of response.
Right.
But it's the caring relationship. That's why I say kids are not committed to programs, kids are committed to people. So it's so important, like in a school setting, for instance, I do a lot of training around connectedness and personalization, because it's important to have that relationship piece in place so that students will want to come to school because they know they have a caring adult they're caring about them. That helps as far as dropout prevention. And then the second piece is of critical importance, and that is a student with a dream is a student with a future. However, a student with a dream is fueled by a caring adult who believes in their dreams.
That's right.
So when I think of academics and what I do a lot of my work, I'm really focusing on that student dream. And how do we get more students to dream and see the importance of academics to that dream?
Right.
Our name for it is Connecting Dreams to Education, because I've found in being in over 2,700 schools, I've been in a lot of schools, that the kids who graduate, the kids who go to college, the kids who are making choices as far as showing up for school, they know why they're going there. They understand why they're in that classroom. So the partnership between parents and schools is critical, because we got to get more kids thinking that way to see why they're in that classroom.
Well, and how do you get a child to believe that? Because, kids, let's face it, kids tune out a lot when they hear from adults. So if
Yes.
you sit a child down and you say, give them another speech, this is important, it's important for your future, they're hearing wah, wah, wah.
Charlie Brown.
Yeah, so how do you make that connection?
Well, the first thing you do is you don't give lectures.
Okay. Okay.
You connect.
Okay.
You and I, when we walked in, what did I do with that young man? I connected with him. I made and he didn't really know me, but he walked over to me, didn't he? You know why? Because it doesn't have to be a lecture. Connect with them where they are. Like I have 4 beautiful children. And they're all doing well. Matter of fact, my oldest is looking ready to go to college. He's a senior in high school. And I have a great relationship with my children. Why? Because as a parent, I don't lecture my children. I've sat down with them over the years and built a relationship, but also built expectations that were mutually acceptable. So, it's interesting when people say that that kid doesn't want to hear it. Well, the bottom line is, what is it going to take to make the connection to that young person?
Right.
And keep with this in mind. This is important, Patty, that no 2 kids are motivated the same way. There's a former basketball coach by the name of John Wooden. And John Wooden was the coach of UCLA basketball, won 10 national championships. And they asked him the question. They said, Dr. Wooden, how did you win 10 NCAA championships. And this is what he said. He said, I did it by what I call customized motivation. He said, did not motivate all my players the same way. So if a child is tuned out, we have to be observant to what motivates that child. What inspires, what's unique about that child that we can connect with them where they are, and then start to engage them in the process of change. And that's what we did with our 400-something kids that we worked with in our program.
Okay.
Even though we had a lot of young people, we had connections with each one of them individually on a personal level to see what inspired them personally.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for some kids it could be sports.
Right.
For some kids it could be art.
It could be art, yes.
For some kids it could be videos and television production, which
Right.
I would encourage.
Yes, absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
find that connection.
Find that connection. That's
a
important.
reason for them to come, and then you can convince them that
Right.
the whole thing is important.
And then once you get them that make that connection, then it's just a relational piece in general. I believe in you. I'm never going to give up on you. Those type of things, because a lot of people think that kids don't necessarily, they don't want to hear. Yes, they do. I always tell people all kids want somebody to care about them. And so if they find that person, hence my first core philosophy, kids are not committed to programs, kids are committed to people, that person that cares, it changes everything. It could be a parent, it could be an educator, it could be a school administrator, it could be a community leader. Once that person is there, that child changes their paradigm, and this is what's really of importance, what we found over the years. Then they want to do well in school because they want to please that person.
That's right.
Because of the connection.
Well, and I've heard this saying, and let me know if you know this is true, that a child who's loved at home comes to school to learn.
Wow.
A child who does not feel love at home comes to school to be loved.
Yes. I like that. I've never heard that before, but I think it's definitely relevant. And you may get a little mixture of both. That child that's coming to learn wants to be loved too, even though they may be getting the love at home. But the bottom line is, and that kind of leads us into what we're talking about, in particular with the parent university. My whole belief is that the parent is the coach of the household team. So what does a good coach do? A coach looks at what motivates that individual player. That coach looks at what motivates the team to win. We as parents have to understand we have to have strategy too. And part of that strategy is the way we care about our kids, the way we show love for them, the way we support them. Not to say do well in school, but encourage them to do well in school.
Okay.
And then once they walk into the school building, and this is really important, if a parent is doing their piece right, to the best of their ability, and I know some parents out there it's very difficult. My mom was a single mom on the public welfare system. I understand how challenging it could be. But if a parent starts to work towards a strategy, that's what we're going to be talking a lot about in my sessions.
Right.
Then the goal is that your child walks in the school motivated to learn.
That's right.
Because they're coming in with something that's been established in their household that's important.
And the districts and the parents need to work together.
Yes. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Because but that parent, and this is because we are talking about parent university, that parent is the X factor in student success.
Yes.
I'll give you a quick example. My wife comes from a family where her great-great-grandfather, who was a first-generation free slave, said he didn't want his children to work as hard. So he pushed education, college degrees, high school diplomas, and as a result, his 8 children ended up graduating from college. Some of them with master's degrees, some of them. Now, let's go down a couple generations later, they all have college degrees. Why? It started in the household.
Yeah, it's the expectation.
Bingo.
It
started in the household, and the household has the expectation. So when the household has the expectation, then the student walks into the school building ready to learn. But here's the deal. That's where the partnership comes in. Now the teacher is working to give the best academics that they possibly can, engage the student. The parent is at home supporting what's going on, the homework, the focus on, college and career readiness, all these things. That's a perfect partnership. And that's the goal, to try to help as many of our parents to get to that point where they're seeing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I asked our last presenter the same question.
Yeah.
Are there barriers, are there myths about, I can't go to college, I'm not college material, it's too expensive, my family doesn't expect it. I mean, are there those barriers out there?
You know what? I talk a lot about perception. And as we all know, a person's perception is truly a person's reality. perception is steeped in what I've embraced and what I've accepted. In order for change to take place, I have to do what I call, and I've created, and I'm actually writing a book on the subject as we speak, perception modification. I got to change my perception. There are thousands of kids out here going to college.
That's right.
There's thousands of kids out here getting scholarships. And they're not all coming from wealthy homes. You know, my son is looking at going to a school in Florida. It's a very expensive school. It's around $50,000 a year to go to one of the top art and animation schools in the country. 80% of the kids that go to that school are kids of poverty.
Wow.
They don't have $50,000. You know, they get scholarships.
Yes.
They get support. So yes, there's the barrier, but the way you overcome the barrier is by gaining knowledge. That's why Dr. Jones's sessions are going to be so important, getting that information. Let me change my paradigm by learning and expanding my base of knowledge.
Right.
So if not, yes, I'll sit there and think my child can't go to college. I don't have enough money. We don't have the requirements or whatever. But that's because I lack the knowledge. That's why this parent university is so important, because we're going to shift that paradigm.
Excellent. Excellent. And so tell us a little bit more. You've recently started. We're very pleased that you're
Yes.
working with Red Clay.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit more about
Yeah.
what you're doing with Red Clay.
With Red Clay, well, I mean, obviously we're going to talk about the parent university in a moment, but I'm doing some other things too. I'm working with a couple of middle schools, and we're doing some things around male engagement, young men, trying to get them engaged in their academic outcomes. We're also doing some things around student connectedness and personalization with the teachers. So we're kind of working with the students, but we're also doing some work with the teachers. So that's exciting, because what we're doing is there are trainings that are part of that. There's some strategy sessions that are part of that, and that's going well. But the parent university is of critical importance.
Yes,
and
it
what
is.
I'm going to be doing with the parent university is my a series of workshops on the theme of the parent as coach, developing a family dream team.
Okay.
What I'm sharing with parents in the Red Clay School District is this: in your household, you have a dream team. Those children are your dream team. And each parent and through our workshops, we're going to go through strategies, family, vision, and mission, helping your children connect their dreams to education. Who are your assistant coaches? Who are those people in the community, the people in the school who are there that can help your team win? But the big thing is that the parents have to, what we're going to encourage parents to do, we're going to teach on, is having using sports analogy, the X's and O's. What are the strategies we're going to use? What from a mission perspective, what are we looking at as far as how our family operates? What do we think about academics, and why are academics important? What kind of behaviors do we want to have in home and out? This is going to be motivational yet strategy laden. My goal is that each parent will walk away with a comprehensive strategy for their family team to win.
That's right. And all parents, I'm
Yes.
sure you've seen, all parents want their children to succeed.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's why these programs are great, because all we're doing is supporting that belief.
Okay.
You know, with our workshops and trainings, but giving some real world strategies. You know, I have 4 children, and it's interesting. I tell people all the time, my wife and I have a specific strategy that we're operating within with our 4 children. Dr. Jones talked about it a little earlier, the reading and things of that nature, but we're also exposing them to things. We're helping them to see their future by taking them places. You don't have to be rich to do this. So some stuff is right there and it's very easy to get to.
Right.
But we also have a very solid academic plan for them, where we're saying we're going to do our part on our end to make sure that what they're learning, they're running with it. Because they understand the importance of it. So we're not just depending on individuals to really put that in our children. We see that as our responsibility in conjunction with those, what I call assistant coaches,
Right.
that help us with our families to succeed.
And kids model what they see. If a parent, if we can show our children that education is important to
Yes.
us, what they're doing is important to us.
Yes, I would always say to any parents. I've been a national speaker for the national PTA. I've been all these different conferences, and what I always tell parents is this: don't ever say anything negative about a school experience that you had. Give your child a chance to go in and learn. Like sometimes you hear some parents that may have had a bad experience and they keep harping on what you're doing is you're in essence kind of giving your children something that's going to hinder their ability. Keep them focused on the potential of learning and growing. And that's a gift you give your child as a parent, you know, because bottom line is, I do a lot of work with the young people when I do these motivational assemblies. And it's funny because you have a lot of young men that say they want to become athletes. And I put a statistic up and I say, you know, what is 150 million? And I say, what is 464? They have no idea what I'm talking about.
Right.
And I'll say to them, well, let me tell you, since you'll never figure this out, there are 150 million people in the workplace. Doctors, lawyers, teachers, executives, all of that. There are only 464 players in the NBA. Education is important.
Well, and the
Yeah.
NBA, even if you're in the
Yeah.
NBA, it doesn't last
It
forever.
doesn't last forever. That's right. So getting that high school diploma, getting that college degree gives you a lifetime of benefits. But that parent coach helps their children to see that that's important.
Okay.
Yes.
Any final words of advice you would give to parents or to school districts on how we can better engage the parents?
Yes. I would say first to the parents that you are the X factor in your children's success, in school and out of school. You're the X factor. I mean, people always say children walk in people's shoes, but when they were little, your shoes were the first shoes that they walked in. They played around in your shoes. And the greatest gift you can give them is the gift of having a household that has a strategy towards academic and life success. And you're having conversations with your kids, talking to them, not just lecturing, but listening, giving them a chance to share some of their thoughts as well. That's a gift that a parent gives a child. And then for the districts, I'm a big believer in the message of connectedness and personalization. How do we create school climates focused on high expectations and communicate that to our children on a daily basis? I've worked with several school districts that have literally turned their districts around because they focused on the climate, they focused on the expectations, and that impacted every aspect of what they did on a day-to-day basis, the way they interacted with the students, the way they interacted with each other. And as what they found as a result is that it started to impact academics because of the expectations.
That's right.
So always keep the expectations high, not just connectedness with the students, but connectedness peer-to-peer, teachers, sharing localized best practices with each other, strategizing on best ways to engage individual students, coming together in your PLCs and brainstorming over these things. This is like, you know, I always say it's like a team trying to win the Super Bowl. We need to be strategic. We also need to be motivational.
We do try, our superintendent, Dr. Merv Doherty, is a great believer in that.
He's amazing. He's
He
amazing.
has ninth graders come in. When they first come to the high school, they pose in a cap and gown in a picture.
Love that.
Because our expectation is that if
That
you
is
walk in the door at
amazing.
ninth
Yeah.
grade, you're going to walk across the stage at,
What
when you
You
graduate.
can't beat that. Is beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, that visualization
those
was
are
taken.
things-
Yeah.
yeah.
And he's a great man. Doing some great work.
Well, I hope you've seen just a little bit about what parents can gain by coming out to our parent universities. We will be running some slides with the dates, and you will hear from the district on each individual date. Coach D, if I can
Yes.
call you Coach D.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for joining us
Thank you.
today.
And yes.
And good luck with these seminars.
Thank you. And I look forward to seeing as many parents as possible come out to the workshops. They'll gain a lot of insights.
Okay, very
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you very much.
They'll test you. Try to break your will. But however loud the loudness gets, however many cheese puffs may fly, you're the driver, the one in control. Stand firm. Just wait. And move only when you hear the click that says they're buckled in for the drive. Never give up till they buckle up.
Welcome back. Well, parents, I hope hearing from today's speakers motivated you to come to one of our Parent University sessions. You'll hear so much more on how to help your child succeed than you heard on today's brief program, and we will put dates up on the screen. Just a couple of other calendar reminders. The Red Clay Board of Education will meet at Conrad Schools of Science on Wednesday, October 21 at 7 p.m. We are coming up to school choice time, so we have school choice informational workshops. These workshops are designed to review the procedures and answer your questions. They're not about individual schools. Individual schools hold their own choice open houses to highlight their programs. You can find a schedule on the Red Clay website. The choice workshops will be on Tuesday, October 20th at John Dickinson High School from 6 to 8 p.m. and on Tuesday, October 27th from 6 to 8 p.m. at AI Middle School. Just a quick reminder that schools are closed on Friday, October 30th for an in-service day, and the next Wilmington Education Improvement Commission, WEIC as it's known, the town hall meeting is scheduled for November 3rd, 6:30 p.m. at Conrad Schools of Science. That's all we have for today. Thank you very much for joining us on News You Can Use.